So, quick announcement to start the video. Feel free to skip by using the chat system, but I quickly wanted to say something. I'm going to be streaming my Bone Lab adventure on Twitch on Sunday at 8 PM BST. So feel free to hop on over, and whilst you're in the description, you might also check if the subscribe button's been clicked. That all said, let's get straight into the video. King's Fall. Some may say it's the best raid. Some may say Wrath of the Machine, but they're wrong because Wrath isn't in D2 yet. But in most raid fashion, not everyone has 6 friends online when they need them, so LFGing becomes a norm. And unfortunately, or fortunately, as it gives me a chance to make this video, I decided to hop into a bunch of LFG so I could describe the experience to those who don't have to suffer this mental anguish every time they do a raid. With that all said, I hope you enjoy the King's Fall experience. So the first encounter really isn't that hard. All you have to do is slam orb, take orb, 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 slam orb, take orb. Now you may think it is simple, but apparently some people don't turn on their monitors when loading in, because I honestly didn't think it was that hard to find a glowing green orb and their shift key. But it seems King's Fall brings out the worst in people, not in mentality, but in motor function. I can't actually count the amount of times where having at least 3 people in my fight team who already know the raid has stopped me from banging my head into a wall over and over again. But there's always a but. Sometimes it's not always possible to have competent players in your fire team. But once you've taken the orb and placed it 100 times, then you can finally go to the jumping puzzle. A place where if you don't understand how to lift both legs off the floor at the same time, you might as well leave or keep trying and see how long it takes one of your fire team members to hack your PC and do it for you. Or just kick you. I've seen players struggle here for over 30 minutes. Now that might not seem that big, but when the average full run of King's Fall takes 2 hours, you might want to rethink inviting some people. The best part about the jumping puzzle though, is that there's an extra chest in this area. So if you want to kick the person holding everyone back, and then let them rejoin once you're in the next area, you most likely will be asked,
"Will I still get the secret chest?"
leading to you having to wait until they have done the jumping puzzle and grab the extra chest before being able to move on. But after all this, you can finally actually start the raid's first encounter. Totems. Totems really isn't that hard of an encounter. Funny enough, it's just a simple relay race, but requires you to have at least finished kindergarten. But, like I said earlier, this raid really brings out the worst in people's motor functions, to the level where they can't simply read aloud numbers on their screen, leaving to other 2 players having to either give up on that person and 2-man their side, or guess every time they need to steal the brand. And get ready to be asked, why did you take my brand so early? Now, I think I don't have to describe the encounter much, as on screen I had footage of it playing. One thing I will say though is that some teams run this differently, with some with 3 runners and some with 2. Meaning, you put your worst player in the middle so they can kill a knight over and over again. Or die over and over again because they shot a rocket point blank, blowing themselves into pieces, but not so much the knight. Don't worry Jerry, we still love you. After your team has finally got the mechanics of counting, holding E and standing on a plate down, you might have one obstacle, which is Henry. And, well, he hurts. And it's a specific thing which you will learn to find that no one has when you need them, leading to a few deaths by the hand of Henry. Finally though, you'll see the enemies disappear, not because you're seeing things though, it's because you've finally actually beaten the easiest encounter in the raid. Onto what was considered basically the actual raid boss for many teams on week 1 of this raid. War Priest. Whilst he might not seem that important, you'll have to trust me that I spent 3 hours in one run just trying to beat him, because people either didn't have the gun that the game literally gives you for free, by the way, and does a lot of damage guaranteed, so yeah, or they just gave up, which can lead to quite fun when you just want to beat him. I'll be lying if I said DPS was the main struggle though, as whilst yet the ultimate goal is to kill him, you actually need to get to the damage phase, meaning you require several people who can either see colors or follow simple instructions. To start the DPS in the intended way, you need to clear the room of enemies and stand on 3 plates in the order the game tells you. Now, whilst this isn't the entire encounter, it's most of it, but for some reason, I wiped at least once every 10 minutes to people either not wanting to call out the plates to stand on, or just not knowing their right and left. I even had a match where after 30 attempts and 12 LFG posts, the last remaining players, including me, went off to do a dungeon because we generally couldn't understand what the hell was going wrong.
If we don't get anybody within the next 5 minutes, you guys just want to go do duality or something stupid?
Yes, I do
Honestly,
want to do duality.
Yeah. Thankfully, an exploit was found to bypass the need to having people call out the plates, basically making it so you can get to DPS quite easy. And to be honest, ever since the exploit is found, I haven't had a fraction of the wipes into this boss that I got in one run alone doing it normally. So now that we can get to the DPS phase and try and kill the boss, how do we do it? Well, it's simple. You shoot the boss. Where you stand depends on the team. But if you're some absolute giga chads, you can stand on the right of War Priest, then E-gauge once the DPS phase ends, literally dodging the attack last second. Now, before we move on to the next part of the raid, as we are basically... Oh, wait, never mind, we killed the War Priest.
That was easy.
As I was saying, before we move on, I brought up a Giga Trad stat for War Priest. Why not bring one up for the jumping strat earlier? As you can see, you can skip the entire thing by launching yourself all the way to the end. I won't go into details, as you can simply go down to the comments if you have any questions. Now we're on to, in my opinion, the easiest raid boss in King's Fall, Golgi Wolgi Wrath. And whilst he isn't that difficult, as you just have to kill enemies and start the DPS phase, his difficulty comes in the form of our old enemy. Counting. There are 2 counters technically going on, as you have to count down if you're the gaze holder so that you don't kill everyone, and you have to look at the left of your screen for a buff called Corrupted Light, as you guessed it, so you don't kill your team if it reaches 0. Easier said than done though, as it seems people automatically become oblivious to their screen turning a different color, a loud sound effect, and obviously a debuff popping up, which most of your fire team has been screaming about the instant the large numbers stop popping up on your screen. And the only thing I can think of is that their brains just turn off to everything else, because I have wiped multiple times to multiple different people not looking at the side of their screen. Granted, in most of the runs we only mention it, I don't know, 5 times before we start DPS, maybe 3 times during it. Now I would say that is it, but it turns out sometimes the people managing the gaze, which I add is as simple as shooting his back and counting down, just simply forget. Yeah, I really don't know what kind of player would do that. I really don't. That's it though. I honestly don't understand how people get stuck at Golgoroth or not know how to do either role, as simply put. Golgi's kinda easy even by any raid standards. Now we're on to the second jumping puzzle, and yes, before you say, there is 2 jumping puzzles in the same raid, because this is Destiny 2. Now I won't really say much because there really isn't much other than a secret chest halfway through. Oh wait, this is a secret symbol for an extra chest at the end of the raid. To get the secret chest to spawn, you just use symbols that are throughout the entire raid, and you're only told them at the very start. You need to run through the entire raid without leaving to get the chest, whilst only shooting the symbols you need. If you shoot the wrong symbol at any point or forget to shoot the one on your way through, you won't get it. Fortunately for everyone, there is a symbol right where an enemy decides to walk, meaning if you're using an explosive weapon, and you most likely are, you're going to end up hitting this symbol by complete accident, but won't find out unless you check every single time you do this encounter. Even so, it doesn't stop human error from getting in the way, so double, triple, quadruple check every single symbol before you leave the area. Finally, we can move on to the final room of King's Fall, the final boss, the Daughters of Oryx. which kinda got me feeling. Right, the Daughters of Oryx. Another very easy encounter where your team will most likely wipe a few times because someone either slammed the wrong one or you didn't do enough DPS. All in all, it probably won't be just one player's fault. If you mess up, it's most likely 2 or 3 people who messed up. So, you'll probably just have to find out by doing a little bit of investigating. So, does your teammate instantly try to blame the game? They messed up. Does your teammate go completely silent for the next few minutes until you all die? They messed up. Do they try and explain in detail what happened even though no one asked? Then you guessed it, they messed up. It's really that simple, and to be honest, you only really need 2 or 3 people who know what they're doing to get through this. And there is even a trick you can pull off to skip the third person from jumping if you're willing to jump 200 feet in the air and pray you don't die. Now, once you have slammed one of the daughters, you can finally talk about marriage and plans for the future in the form of an early divorce using a lot of lead, or in this case, a high-powered energy rifle. Once you've handed the divorce papers to the daughters, Daddy's gonna come knocking on the door, and the actual final raid encounter can start. Now, Oryx is basically the more advanced version of the daughters, as, well, he's been around longer, so he knows how to set up a raid encounter. Unlike his children before him, this time adding ogres and knights. And for God's sake, kill your f***ing knights, so we don't have to spend another hour in this goddamn raid. Thank fuck. If you couldn't tell, I take it very personally when I say at the start, middle, and end, because we have most likely wiped to kill your ogre and knight. And people don't, wasting us time where we could be damaging the boss, because they probably got distracted by how big Oryx is. Sloppy, smooth, enormous. Sorry, got distracted. Where was I? Oh, the ogres and knights. Just shoot them until they fall over. Okay, thanks. Other than that, there is the bombs, which the ogres drop, which for some reason either gets set off halfway through people jumping, or too late, leading to someone dying. Usually the person who set off their bomb late, and after a few more shots. Oh, I didn't mention the big portion of when most people wipe. After each damage phase on Oryx, he will do one of 2 things. He'll either summon the Shadow Realm, or start trying to recreate Normandy in 1944, leading to players having to, well, play an easier version of TNT Run from Minecraft. But like in TNT Run, when one player gets too close to another player, one of them usually dies. And I swear I would never do such a thing. I would never in my life purposely kill another player in Destiny 2 who is on my side for the sake of my own amusement. Ever. Other than some amazing ass music and cool guns, that's Kingsfall. Not too much other than, oh yeah, Touch of Malice. That's cool.